Okay, well, I'm just waiting to see who shows up here. Happy Friday to all you working people. I know this is a great week to take off. I've been in my office with a very quiet office this week. So yeah, today I'm going to be talking about 5 blocks that are keeping you from love. And so I'm going to just wait and see who might show up on the call here. I'd love to welcome you, so I hope you're joining us. If you're joining us, I would love to hear your name and where you're from, and what's one feeling that you felt about the holidays this year? I'd love to hear you share that, just to get a sense of who you are, where you're coming from. I'm glad that you're joining us. So I would say this year, the holidays for me have been inspiring, because I went away for about 4 days to Bend with some friends, and it was really fun just to like play in the snow, and we had lots of good food. We stayed in this nice condo with a jacuzzi. It just felt super refreshing, and then when I came back, I was really inspired to like dig into the things to come in the new year. I almost got overwhelmed because I started digging in so much yesterday, but overall I felt really inspired. So it was nice to get away. So yeah, so I'm so glad you're here, and I'm gonna get started. So the topic, 5 blocks that could be keeping you from love. So as you're joining the call, I'm going to be sharing my screen with you and going to a slideshow that I have here. Okay, so I'm excited. This is my very first webinar, so I am open to your feedback, and so glad for your presence. Okay, so 5 blocks that could be keeping you from love. Well, first off, I wanted to share a little bit about me. So I am Kristen Mira, obviously, and I started about 3 years ago. I was working in accounting. I had a full-time bookkeeping business. I had people working with me. Things were going well financially, but I was just burnt out, and I felt like I wasn't on my right path. And so not only that, in my dating life, I felt like burnt out. I was dating men that were unavailable. I felt like I kept attracting these bad boy types, and men that didn't want what I wanted. They just wanted something casual, or they were like way younger than I was. And so I just felt frustrated, and I took some time. I went to counseling, and I also went on a sabbatical. I decided to take some time up and really figure out where I wanted to go in life, and who I wanted to be, and who I wanted to be with. And so as a part of that self-exploration, I started realizing that I had blocks within me. So at first I started asking, like, what's wrong with me? Like, am I not pretty enough? Am I not smart enough? But as I started to explore like what was going on, I realized that there were blocks that I had in my own thinking, in my own feeling, in my heart, that were pushing men away. And so this was actually good news, because not only was it just something fundamentally wrong with me, but it was something that I could work on and that I could grow in and heal from. And that was super encouraging. So I began to study relational dynamics like crazy, because I was becoming a nerd about it. And so I started to look into like, what are some of the common threads? What are some of the blocks that often women experience. And I began to see, like, as I worked on them personally, the quality of man, you know, started to increase and improve in my life. The men that I would accept, the men that that were drawn to me, started to get better. And so instead of having those bad dates and boundaries always being broken, I started to seek out like coaches and different things to help. So today I wanted to look at like, what are some of these 5 blocks? So the first one is you don't feel or act yourself around men. And if at any point you can relate to one of these, please feel free to share in the comments. So this can take on a lot of different forms. It depends on your personality. Like maybe you tend to be very quiet, and it could be around any man in your life, or it could be especially around a man that you like or interested in. You start to like withhold a little bit. You don't share exactly what you're thinking or feeling. You get just less expressive. You kind of mute down your personality a little bit. Or on the other side, you could be all of a sudden more chatty. You're trying to fill in all the gaps in the conversation. But it's not really stuff coming out that's really about you. It's more kind of like filler out of nervousness. And so in some of these situations, you can either do things like, maybe you'll tell a little white lie, like, oh yeah, I love skydiving, but really you don't want to do it at all. And so you start like shape shifting a little bit, and what happens is this man has a hard time seeing like, who is this woman really? Like, at first he may think, oh wow, she's so cool, she likes to do skydiving, but he'll tell over time that there's something that isn't as interesting about you because you're shape shifting. And so to him, it'll feel frustrating on some level. Like he can't quite like touch or like see your heart, because it's hard to be yourself around him. And this can often show up like early on in the dating process. Like say some guy, he says, okay, let's go out on a date. We're gonna go, let's go to a movie. It's XYZ movie. And you're like, I don't really like that. I don't really want to see that movie. And I don't really like movies on first dates because I can't really talk to you. But instead of like mentioning that, you just kind of say, oh, okay, yeah. And you go with the program and you don't want to make waves. But over time, you're kind of keeping yourself in a box, and you're not giving yourself the opportunity to ask for what you prefer, or give a suggestion and see how he responds, because that can be really important at the beginning stages of dating. So if this is the case, the connection with the man from his end can start to feel like disconnected or shallow. And this block can happen because you might have some negative stories around your needs or your preferences. And one way to start to clear that kind of block is to start identifying on a regular basis, like, what are your needs or what are your preferences? Even little things like, oh, I prefer, rye toast over wheat. Just start to tune in. What do I want? What do I need? And start speaking it up to a waitress, to a friend, to your mom. Can be a great way to start to clear that block. Number 2 is you need to be in control. And this one, no one likes a controlling person or to be controlling themselves, but it can sneak up so subtly sometimes. I wrestle with this one a lot. And what this can look like as a woman as she starts dating is sometimes it can look like the woman starting to like step in and do a lot of the planning, as it says here on this slide. It's hard for you to not be the one that's always initiating or giving, pursuing, or planning. Sometimes it can slide into taking on like a counselor role, and no healthy man, at least, is looking for a counselor. So it can kind of be off-putting. So if this starts to happen, often the result or the symptom can be you'll start to feel more anxious. It can sometimes push you into wanting to know, like, where is this relationship going? Just not knowing is very hard. And so it can sometimes come across as feeling like pressure to a man, like, or what is she trying to get from me? And so sometimes it can be inauthentic. So that kind of in control energy, even though it's not intentional, can come across almost as emasculating to a man. He can start to wonder, like, oh, well, what role do I have in this woman's life? How can I, like, serve her or benefit her if she's doing everything? And sometimes men can also get lazy because they know that you're going to do it. So that can create dynamics that are often undesirable. So if you struggle with this too, like me, an important step to take is to actually just check in with what are you feeling in those moments, especially when you have that urge to try to control. What is it that you feel? Maybe there's this anxious energy that you have, or maybe underneath that is some kind of fear. If you can identify that and start to journal about it or talk to a friend about it, it can be super helpful. So the next one, number 3, is you tolerate treatment from a man that you would never want your friend to experience. We can so often be accepting of behavior that we would never allow for a friend. It's so funny, isn't it? So if you, make sure I have my notes here. So if you notice this, especially at the beginning when you start dating a guy, he says something that you feel less than or you feel hurt, and it's hard for you to share that with him. Sometimes this is often because the way that we talk to ourselves is not very nice too. And so when it comes from a man, we just kind of assume, like, oh, well, we're used to that kind of treatment. It may be because we grew up in a family or a culture where we weren't spoken to well or treated well, and so it feels kind of normal. But if this is a pattern that you notice, it can be that we are the ones that's allowing ourselves to be treated that way, and it's good to kind of take a inventory, like, okay, when I felt that hurt, what can I say to this man? How can I express how I felt? And he may or may not respond well, but at least you will have expressed it, and you'll see, is he treating me with kindness? Did he apologize? Did he, or is he like, oh, it's because you were this way, and he doesn't take any kind of ownership? Then you'll have great information about whether it's good to stay with this guy or not. So that block, if you accept that kind of behavior, can keep you in a bad relationship for much longer than anyone would want to be. But if this is the kind of background that you have come from, I really highly encourage you to seek maybe extra support in counseling or coaching, or a really trusted friend. And number 4, you spend more time in your head than you do in your body. And what in the world does that have to do with it? You may ask. So if you spend a lot of time all day long in your mind thinking and rehashing things and analyzing and worrying, it may be time to consider, like, how can you shift from your head into your body? Like, for example, you know, I'm kind of thinking about what I'm saying as I'm talking. But if I just take a breath right now and close my eyes and kind of like sink into my desk right here, I can start to feel how soft my sweater is. And I can, I feel like all my muscles relax and release tension. And it feels really good. And so that's one easy way that you can start to shift into your body, which also kind of starts to slow down or turn off that overly analytical mind. And why I say this is because feminine attraction often largely happens from our body. And I don't say that because you have to have like a perfect 10 body to be able to attract a man, but rather like the way you are sensually in your body, the way you have self-compassion towards your body that kind of oozes out of who you are. And so it could mean that like the way you enjoy like chocolate mousse on your tongue, or the way you take a bath regularly and you enjoy all the sensations, or you just walk slowly down the street and you feel your hips swaying side to side. There was a song many years ago, I don't remember when, called Something About the Way She Moves. And it wasn't called Something About the Way She Thinks or Something About the Way She Gets It Done, but it was something about the way she moves. And there is something that invites a man to come towards you. And then on the other hand, if you're not in that place, it can start to like push men away, or be kind of like a veil to the real beauty that you have. So men can be around other men all day long, getting it done, planning things, organizing, but they really like crave a woman who is into her sensuality, who's able to feel her feelings, and it's really inviting to him to invite himself into that kind of world that we can offer as women. It's really unique. Men, of course, can be sensual too, but we have a certain sensuality about us that's really beautiful. And so the next and last one is, and I think it's the most important, is on some level you believe that love's not possible for you. So this one can sometimes be very subtle, but it can be really huge in terms of its effect and impact in your love life. So it can rear its head sometimes when you are watching all your friends get married and have babies and take amazing vacations with their partner, and you feel this like hurt and jealousy. And this, it can show up in a lot of different ways, but it's like on some level you're thinking, oh, well, love's not in the cards for me like that. So you can do like all the right things in dating and follow all the tips and wear the right things and look beautiful. But if on some level you're believing that love's not possible for you, that you're not like a hell of a catch for some man, that when you're with him, he's gonna sense that on some level that you don't believe that you're worth the effort and the time. And sometimes he can start to like slowly back away, just say, oh, I'm not feeling it, I'm really busy with work. You know, he can kind of, there won't be like a real reason, but there will be something that he senses that will cause men to pull away sometimes. So that is number 5. If this one's true for you, it can be a hard one to work through on your own. And like some of the other ones, I would really encourage you to get some outside help to really unravel like where did that start, and to be able to start to replace it with like solid truths about your worthiness for an awesome relationship. So thanks for hanging in there with me. And if you can relate to any of these blocks, or if you're watching the replay, I would love for you to drop me an email, send me a message. And I wanted to share also that oftentimes we have blocks because somewhere in our prior experience we've been hurt by a relationship, whether that's a prior boyfriend, a husband, parents. And so we develop these faulty stories about ourselves. And we can try like self-help books, and you know, I've tried like tons of videos and all kinds of things. But the thing is, so often we heal because we were broken in relationship, we heal in relationship. And so the most effective way is just to be witnessed by another person, and to have them say like, wow, I don't see you that way at all, and to be able to have them share like how they see you and what's true about you. So if you had the opportunity to be supported by a community that could help you experience better results in love, would you take it? Because I wanted to share with you an opportunity about an 8-week group course that I'm going to be hosting, that we're going to be going into a deeper dive on some of these blocks, where you'll be supported by women in a similar place, kind of in an environment like this on Zoom, and we'll be exploring topics such as creating a vision for your love life and healing these blocks, understanding men, some masculine and feminine energy, creating a culture of abundance and self-care and community. Those are just some of the topics. And also, as a part of this course, you'll get 2 private one-on-one coaching sessions with me to talk through anything that comes up for you in the course, as well as a one-on-one accountability buddy and a private Facebook group where you can just share and get feedback from other women. Maybe you've gone on a date and you want to be like, oh my gosh, what just happened? What do I do? And you can bounce it off other women in the group. So this course is going to be called Jumpstart Your Love Life. It's an 8-week group course open to open new possibilities to love in 2019. Can you believe it's 2019? I can't. It's going to be starting February 18th, going 8 weeks through April 8th at 6:30 PST on Monday nights. So I found that working through our inner struggles in a group can be so powerful. I've led recovery and support groups for years, and I've seen women really transform through these processes, and I'll be incorporating some of that learning, as well as I was involved in a year-long group coaching course like this one. And on that group coaching course, I met a woman named Jessica, and I interviewed her this week to share about her experience in the group so that you can understand what it was like for her and what kind of outcomes she had in after the year. It's a really cool story, so check it out on my website. There's a video. I'm going to be sending you the link to the more information about this course, and you'll see that video at the bottom with Jessica and I. So wouldn't you love to be in a great relationship this year? Maybe just close your eyes for a minute and think like, what would it feel like if I had a partner that I could really trust and hold on to and feel like he's got my back and know that we're going to grow together and support each other? What would that feel like for you if you could have that in this year? And just imagine if you could get support to get there along the way. It almost brings me to tears. So I don't doubt that you're on this call for a reason, or if you're seeing the replay. And I would love to have you join me, because it's going to be super fun and really meaningful. And it's at a pretty decent rate that I'm starting out for my first course. But not only is it a decent rate for you being on this call, this webinar today, there'll be a discount code that I'll send you in the follow-up email that you can use to get $52 off the cost. So the 8-week course will be $237, but if you register before New Year's Day with that code, the cost is $185. So if you have any questions, I would love to hear from you. You can set up a 30-minute consult appointment with me today, and I can answer any of your questions. Or you can set it up today for any time, you know, an upcoming opening that I have. And I would love to give you more information or share any answer your questions. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Hey. I don't take it lightly that you've joined me. I know your time is valuable, especially this time of year, and I really appreciate that you've joined me in this community, and I hope to grow the community as the year comes through things like webinars, group courses on my Facebook group. If you haven't joined, it's Captivate Him with Ease Facebook group. I'd love to have you. And I'm excited about this year for you. I believe that love is possible for you, and I would love to be a part of that journey. So Happy New Year's, my friends, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Love you so much.